Welcome to ViviTalks. I'm Vivienne Aerts. Join me in celebrating 100 talented female musicians from my last album, Typuhthâng, empowering female cacao farmers in Congo's Virunga State Park and restoring the rainforest. Delve into the musical journeys, creative processes, and unique perspectives of these talented women that were involved in the making of this album. Today I'm talking to Jude Heichelbech, who's a musician and sculptor in the Boston area. In addition to solo musical projects and yearly visual art open studios, she is a member of the glam-rock band Count Zero and is part of a folk rock duo featuring accordion and cello.
Welcome
Enjoy.
to my podcast. Your name is Heichelbech, right? So I suppose your ancestry is in Germany or Austria?
It is in Germany. My great-grandparent was from Munich. And so Heichelbech is actually probably an Ellis Island change, because Heidelbach is actually the German name.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, also with a D, Heidelbach, and we're Heichelbech. So when I think of how it's written, I could easily see how someone's handwriting would be misinterpreted at Ellis Island. So we're Heichelbechs exist in Germany, but only kind of after the fact, only because they came.
Then you're sure they're a real family, right?
Yeah. That's the thing about Heichelbechs, that they're all related, because it's not an actual German name.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Munich is amazing. We were there last summer.
I've never been to Germany.
I really like it. The people are super nice, and the food is good. And we done a lot of shows with the chocolate and the music. And yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe someday. Every time I went to across the pond, I always went to the Netherlands because I liked it so much.
Nice. So where in the Netherlands did you go? Amsterdam, and did you go to Leiden?
I did. I loved Leiden. We went there for museum night.
Really?
The horticultural museum, and saw all the pitcher plants and all the orchids and the light on all the buildings, and went to museums. And so my ex-husband and I, we would go and bike ride there, and we went to we didn't make it down. We wanted to go to Aachen and go into Germany there and look at the Roman ruins there, but we never got kind of that far. We'd go as far as Rotterdam and go see a show at the Lantern Western, or go up north to the North Park up there, the Het Twista, I think is what that is. And we would ride to the coast, the West Coast, and past the airport, and just we'd ride everywhere. We'd on our rented bikes. We stayed in Amsterdam, and we liked the Amrath. We would stay at the Amrath.
Nice.
Yeah. So we went all over. Went to Leiden, went to Nijmegen. Mm-hmm. The beach resort, the beach community on the West Coast, whose name escapes me, and Schweringen, which I still can't say, and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things there that are hard to pronounce.
I thought I could learn Scheveningen. Yes, thank you. I thought I would learn it Dutch relatively easily, because I'd learned some German, but they're different enough in pronunciation that it didn't really help me that much.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's always a lot of like back in the throat sounds that are hardest, I think.
Back in the throat.
The SCH Yeah,
Wow. That doesn't
SCH. Yeah,
that
that,
doesn't
yeah,
sound like it's spelled.
exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't even sound healthy. Scheveningen. But it's a great city with a lot of beach and parties. Scheveningen.
I really enjoyed my trips to the Netherlands. We
Awesome.
we were mistaken for native people all the time, so we fit in. But the last time I went, the anti-tourist push was a little hard.
Was there?
Oh yeah, there were people. They weren't happy that there were tourists anymore, and I really felt it. I felt like, in fact, a man on one of the trains was talking to us, and he was like, "Oh, so you're tourists?" And he was, we even got it from a stranger.
Wow.
So,
When was that?
I guess I went 5 years ago was the last time I went.
Wow. And that was but maybe that was just in Amsterdam. I don't know.
I think it is mostly in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about like the policies with Airbnb, and then it was just like people just started to buy houses that were only used for that, so people are pushed out. I think Amsterdam became sort of a circus at some point. I think now it's but yeah, I mean, if I go to Leiden and I go to the meetings I have in wherever they are in Utrecht or Rotterdam or see my family. So
Love Utrecht. I would live in Utrecht if I could.
Utrecht is great, right? With the lowered canals, it's really cute.
Yeah.
And cool. Tell me a little bit about your music, the music in your life.
Thanks. I right before the pandemic, I was invited to join Count Zero, which is a glam rock band here in the Boston area, who've had, they're 25 years old. They have a long and storied history. They've traveled the world, and they've had a bunch of different iterations through time.
Mhm.
Peter Moore is the band leader, and I'm thrilled to be playing with him. So right before the pandemic happened, we had to cancel our first rehearsal, and it was almost 3 years later before we could pick it back up. So we've had 2 shows, and I'm having a marvelous time playing with musicians who are, I think, the top of the line. So of course that helps me and makes me better. And not only that, but they are longtime friends. Like I enjoyed the band for years before I was able to become a member, and so I play keyboards and do vocals, and I'm just loving it. The catalog is complex and well written, and I'm enjoying it so much. And they're, like I said, they're friends, so we're having a good time.
Nice. And you play your own songs?
They're
Or
all
is it
original.
covers?
They're all Peter's. Peter, or Will Regano is the other founding member, and he writes a couple of things too. And I'm really excited because Peter has actually taken one of my songs and is going to run it through the Count Zero machine, and I'm super excited about that.
Nice. So you write too?
Yes.
What type of, or is it all over the place?
It's generally light, not heavy rock myself. It's nice to play in Count Zero because that's heavier rock. So I'm hoping to learn how to rock out in this band, because most of my stuff is a little bit lighter, a little closer to folk and or jazz. And so guitar, piano and voice are my first. Guitar is I just pick it up by ear, and then cello, and same thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did you first get to the instrument then?
Well, we had a an upright piano when I was growing up. It was the one that my great grandmother, who was a piano teacher, she used to teach on it. And it was, my mom always said that it was one that had come from a Baptist church and that they had lowered the tuning a step and a half so that the songs wouldn't be so high. Now, that piano was gone before I was old enough to test that theory. So I don't know if that's true. And if it is, I learned to play piano on a non-standard tuning piano. But music runs in my family and I have a good ear. So I just played the piano by ear, and I took lessons for 3 years, but mostly ear is, what I can read, but it's painful. I prefer to do it by ear.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom was a choir director at church. I sang with them, and they both had lovely voices. Everyone in my family has a musical bone. My sister is a classical violinist.
Nice.
Brother is a multi-instrumentalist in the Midwest who does more bluegrass type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how we all have music. We can all sing well enough. We can hold a tune. It's amazing. I'm from a big family. There's 7 of us.
Wow.
We're very artistic.
Would you then play together when you grew up? That you all start a family band, or?
No, we didn't, because of just the way the family was stretched out and what happened, and the music came later to some, than others. And so not really. I mean, we get together and sing, funny songs at Christmas or something once in a while.
Yeah.
But what am I trying to get at? Oh, just that after I moved here, I was able to start a band with my eventual husband, we called it Bitters, and we made a catalog and played out and had a good time, and that was all original music too. And that was the first time that I'd been able to kind of realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I'm in Count Zero, and I'm also in a group called Famous Grouse, that's a duet with another former keyboardist from Count Zero, and she plays accordion and I play cello, and we sing together, and that's really fun.
What's her name?
Elizabeth Steen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I've got 2 projects with others right now, and I'd like to work up a solo set so that I could play out. Yeah. There's music right across the street. There's an open mic. I hope to go there and play, and I hope they like it so well that they're like, oh, please come and play every Thursday night or something like that. And that would be awesome to have a residency somewhere.
Nice. And then could you describe your creative process, either with your art or with your music? How do you get?
It's interesting. There's similarities in both. And
right.
I do like to go back and forth, to give my mind new ground, new purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But in both cases, I feel like when I'm writing music or when I'm making a sculpture, I'm kind of trying to be delicately eke out from the universe that thing, like just pick up enough on the nuances of what I'm thinking and not be too loud, whether that be like forcing myself into a design process in a sculpture. I mean, materials have their limits. They'll break if you treat them poorly, and if they do, then you have to reevaluate. And so the same thing in some ways with music. To bring something out from within your mind is in my experience, an extremely quiet process. Any bluster will blow them away, you know, into the ether, and then you won't be able to reach them. So I think that it's kind of like Michelangelo trying to get the sculpture out of the stone, you know, he had to listen really closely to the stone and take away what wasn't the piece. And I think that's, in a way, that's a really nice corollary for the art and music.
Right.
I want to know what the piece wants to be. And I have quiet for that.
Yeah, but then how do you know? Or how do you create that silence or that quiet?
This is a really good question, because I have found that in certain times in my life, it is really too difficult for me to do that because there's too much noise in my brain. There's too much noise in my life. I'm too anxious, or I can't settle down. You really have to settle down. You have to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to think about the dishes or my job or the weather or my boss or the state of the world or any of these things. You have to be peaceful and you have to care. And if you're a little bit of a chihuahua in your life, you can't settle down and you can't focus enough to hear that really embedded, soft sound of the communication of whatever it is you're trying to make.
Right.
So I recently went through a divorce, and it was really hard for me to settle and focus and care. You have to care, right? And I'm only now beginning to quiet down. So I'm happy, because I was a little afraid that I was going to have a hard time writing in the future because I couldn't settle. So, I mean, I guess you know that. But I didn't really answer your question. How do you settle? You try to take good care of yourself. You try to listen to your body. You try to breathe. And most of all, you have patience with yourself.
Self-compassion.
You cannot rush the muse. You can't force the muse. You have to be, the muse is a lot like a cat. If you, you have to let the cat come to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, oftentimes, if you don't want the cat to come to you, the cat knows and it's like, I'm going to be here in your face. Right?
Cats are little jerks. I love them, but they're little jerks.
Yeah, they're funny. Oh, how about this one? Because I did write a couple of questions down.
Okay.
Can you share a significant moment when your music had a profound, or music or art had a profound impact on somebody's life?
When my work had a profound impact on someone's life? Well, I think I can tell you two things. I don't know that anyone has come up to me in particular and said your work has had a, well, maybe they have, a profound, but not one event. Mm-hmm. What people have told me is that my work has had impacts on them, and that they want me to make what I make because it's good for the world, which is a lovely thing to hear. People who've seen my work and said, wow, your attention to detail or creativity or whatnot. So a lot of people have told me that my work has made an impact on them in that way, and them with their own creativity or with inspiring in life or just with curiosity. So, but there is one time that I will say, I was playing a gig with the band my band, Bitters, and we were at a bar, and someone came in, to a couple, and they were very interestingly dressed, and we were playing, and I was singing, and I was having a good time. And I looked up and I saw them dancing. And it was rare for people to dance, really, I think, anywhere at our shows. I don't know why, but anyway. And the way that they were dancing was so lovely that we had inspired that in them. And they came up to us after and said how much they had enjoyed the concert. But they were so spontaneous and so genuine in what the music was making their bodies do, that even though that's not like a life-changing event, I noted that moment as being one where I had breached the divide somehow non-verbally and spoke to somebody's heart.
Right. That's the truth. Right. Yeah.
There's another one I can tell you now that I'm thinking of it.
Uh-huh.
Playing the last show that I played with my then husband I had a wonderful time, and the last song I did was one that ends on a note that I sustain, and it's a second, so it's in contrast with the rest of the piece, and I'm at a loud volume, so it's really intense. And I didn't realize this was going to happen, but people in the audience started to, woo, kind of with me, sing with me. And it unnerved me a little bit. I didn't expect that. I elicited a really important, like powerful thing, a wail that came out of many of the people in the audience.
Wow.
And I have the tape of that. I still listen to it. I'm still taken aback by, I mean, it's easy to think that you're creating music and you enjoy it, and that's reason enough. You can't quantify how it's going to affect someone who's listening to it. And when you get that information, when you see that it has really like gobsmacked someone or made them go into a spiritual place for a minute, or a limbic place, or, then it's surprising and it's beautiful and it's magical. It doesn't happen that frequently. Right. I think it was one of the first times when I had to remind myself that I'm not playing for me. I'm playing for others.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's the reason to keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm so blessed.
Yeah. That's it.
I get to do art and music, and I get to meet interesting people and sometimes contribute to their wonderful projects.
Totally. Yeah.
That's what to the people who love art and music, that's what art is. That's what life is about. That's the legacy to leave. That's the communication to have.
Right. Well, that's the meaning of life, right? That's yeah, people are trying to get to their core and to what is it, what we do, and why do we do it. And then when you make art, that's you build that bridge for them so they can just find it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have maybe it's a difficult question, but since this project of mine was all these women, and I really feel strong about how we should feature more women in their creative fields, because it's not all like marketed equally. This question is, have you faced any stereotypes or biases as a female musician or artist, and how do you challenge or overcome them? I know it might be a rough question, but
how do you challenge or overcome it? Well, yeah, of course I do. Of course I have. I anticipate there will be more instances like that in my life. I am old enough now that I don't know, I somehow kind of care less.
Mhm.
I'm a little more strong in my core, in my own feeling of what I'm doing and what I contribute. So I think I take that in less. But it is all around, you know. I mean, the way you're treated at the shows is different. The amount of technical expertise that the general people that you deal with believe that you have versus a male colleague.
Mhm.
They will often ascribe more intelligence or more technical knowledge to the male colleague, you know, than to you. So one of the ways that I deal with that is that I luckily care less than I used to about it. And I go about my business and I do the best that I can do. And I'm glad that we are making progress, even though it is slow and not nearly where it should be, but it's better than it was for my mom in life, you know, and her mom. And of course, in the art world, in the visual art world, it is well documented that male artists do better, are more valued, you know, etc. And it may seem sad, but back to our earlier point about really being grateful that I have a bread and butter job that takes care of me, because those stereotypes that would hamper my financial health are not as material to me because I have a job.
Right. You're not
I can
dependent
make
on it.
music and art my way and leave a legacy that I want to leave and not suffer too much with the knowledge that it's not really going to give me a lot of financial gain, at least not now, at least not yet.
Right.
So I think I'm insulated a little bit from that.
Mhm.
Having said that, I am older, and I care less in some ways, but there is a cumulative lifetime of having lived in a shadow or shadows as a female. And on the one hand, you get calluses, and on the other hand, it's cumulatively tiring. I'm not a pushback court sort of person. I'm getting more like that in my old age.
Not old.
No, I'm not. But still, I'm getting sassier, and thank goodness.
Yeah, you are probably a little bit older than me, but not much.
And it's good to get a little sassier, you know.
Mhm.
I'm a quiet kind of person. I like to use humor, and I think that might be one of the few places where you can get a point across that is a little uncomfortable to somebody else without it becoming a real issue. So I think that if I have conflict, I often use humor to display it or
Mhm.
bring it out into the open,
Right.
because I don't like conflict. I'm a middle child through and through. I don't like conflict.
Yeah, I don't like conflict, but I think I am a fighter. I think there is a way to have the perfect fight, though, right? By pointing out, oh, old men are stupid. It doesn't make sense, right? Or let's burn your bra. It's a picture in time. It's maybe not what we want to do right now. So I really consciously chose to just feature women and not making it like a sort of like an aggressive. I just want to show how amazing everybody is. That I really respect. So I think that might be the way to go, to create more awareness and to have more, you know, maybe that will lead to more women in power, or a more equal balance in pay and in like opportunities, and it will expand the Rolodex of people so they can call a female master engineer or a female, you know, how many female drummers do we know? I know a bunch, but
Yeah.
there might not be enough in the back of your head to just actually consider them. So that's a process of visibility and just, yeah, bridging that gap.
This is a you know, a conundrum that I've dealt with my whole life, like learning how to be happy even though tomorrow is Monday, or you know, something scary is going to happen, or I'm going to die eventually. Like, we have all these things that make our existence difficult, and
Right.
oppression and, you know, financial difficulty, all of it. And at the end of the day, we have to be happy in the moments that we've had. And that's a struggle. It's a struggle to carve out that happiness for yourself without being isolationist or overly selfish, you know, only thinking of yourself. That's not how to live either. And I'm still working on that.
But
If I
that
read
is
too
a
much
journey.
news, then I have a hard time having a happy day.
Yeah. And the world is not fair, and there's so much work to do. So where do you start, right? You can just sit inside and just feel shitty about everything, and including about yourself, or yeah,
Do something like you did, which is, I mean, that's a project that really gives back.
Right.
Gives back to you, and it gives back.
Just happened accidentally, right? Because I've been working with my husband on these edible musical paintings. So
Edible musical.
I'm not sure if you know the whole backstory, but
Very synesthetic.
Yeah. My husband's a pastry chef, so at some point we were asked to do a show together or something together. So he created like this dessert painting where I created sounds to it. I improvise a lot with iPad tabs, loop stations, a lot of digital, but spontaneously. So I create sound to the movement. He's like with spoons painting this painting, and then because of that, we got in touch with this chocolate brand that's actually good for the people. For change, and good for the nature, and have the amazing quality. And this brand's original beans is from Europe, and the guy is from Germany, and they're based in Amsterdam, and they pay the farmers living wage. And then they have a bunch of bars, right? The quality is amazing. They have all these different bars from near the equator all over the place. They have projects in Mexico and in Peru, and obviously in Africa, Tanzania, and they have this project with these women in Congo that I really wanted to feature, because if we just buy a product for a real price, as in they're a living wage, then we can solve world economy, right? Instead of just like, so I wanted to feature that project with my album. So I wanted to go to Congo, but it was really dangerous in that jungle. There's militia rebellion groups. Then they said, oh no, it's not safe in 2018. And in 19 there was Ebola. They're like, no, you should go. And then, then it was Corona the next year. So every year it was not possible. And then I spoke to the CEO again, and he said in 2016, there was this journalist from the BBC radio. She made interviews with these sustainable cacao farmers where they planted 3 for every bar. She interviewed all these women. So I talked to her, and she explained her whole journey over there, going for 2 days on a motorcycle on a mud road together with a photographer who I spoke to, Elaine Livingston, and the journalist, her name is Penny Taylor, and they went there ask about sustainable farming and these women, and you can hear even pygmies singing, and there's birds, and there's so many extraneous sound I obviously also used. So that's how the project started. And then organically, I thought, well, if there's all these women in Congo making this empowerment, because apparently there you cannot even go outside after 11 a.m. because then men wake up and they start causing trouble after 11 a.m. They start drinking. They're either dead or drunk, right? These men over there, they are suffering. If they are still alive, they suffer like heavy like trauma, because they get kidnapped with militia groups, and they have to
Child soldiers and
it's really
such.
bad, all the civil wars and the impact. So the men are pretty much useless, because we cannot even blame them, but it's pretty bad. So these women now are empowered. There's 1,500 by now with the foundation on the ground. They teach them to read and write. There's now they have also honey, not a factory, but they make honey as well. Yeah. Because also there's I think maybe that's a different place, but elephants are very scared of bees. So but elephants love cacao. So it's you don't want to shoot the elephant because it's eating your cacao, but you really need your cacao. So if you put the bees with the hive with little strings between the tree, then the elephant walks into the string, and it shakes the beehive, and then there's like bees, and the elephant is like, oh no. And after a while the elephant is like, yeah, I know you guys, and he just go somewhere else.
Oh man, that's wonderful.
But they can make honey as well, right? So, and then they have this protein source with like guinea pigs, because apparently you cannot really, there's no electricity in the jungle, so they you cannot have a cow, because then also if you want to eat the cow, then it's just too much and it doesn't fit your fridge. There's no electricity anyway. So and then guinea pigs really they multiply very fast, and I think it's if you could also do rabbits, but then rabbits get like diseases and stuff. So yeah, they do all this work on the ground over there. It's really a success project. And now these women get the money for the cacao, and they can send the kids to school and hire a person to work with them, so the kids don't have to work. They can go to school, and the men are not able to buy alcohol because they have to ask the woman, hey, right? They get more respect because they are the keepers of the business now. So the whole structure is changing. And I mean, so that the whole story just was so inspiring. So obviously on the album, I just figured it needed to be a bunch of musicians, and instead of just have a female power band, I just made a whole list of all the cool women, and it just got out of hand.
Got out of hand.
Which is great. Yeah, it just went. I just had so much, and then still now it's done. Everything. I mean, the record came out, and I meet all these other cool women too, and I'm like, oh, I should have known you, right? Yeah, there's so many amazing people out there, and I really knew it. That's not big news, but yeah, no, that's how it just evolved. I was always a very green person, being conscious about stuff, and I mean, but yeah, it just evolved. It's not like, yeah, I'm putting some elements together. No, it just happens.
Those best things do evolve, don't they?
Yeah. It came very natural. Yeah, the whole planting a tree, and all the elements that I love accidentally are in here.
How does it make you feel that the work that you've done, that you've spent so much creative energy and time on, and probably money, how does that make you feel, that knowing that it has such an amazing and large kind of impact on these important things, that it touches so many really honestly important social global things, as opposed to just being an awesome piece of music. How is that enjoyment made bigger, or is it made bigger?
Well, it's still in the works. I'm still spreading the word, but it's already a success because, all the people that bought the album helped, right? So I already planted, I think 500 trees with the chocolate, every bar plant. So, and the people, it made an impact on people listening, right? Oh, your song or the lyrics, so you got these. And yeah, people are more aware of the stories in cacao business too, because a lot of people have no clue. The whole like ecological and fair trade coffee that's been around for 20 years, but cacao has been, that's a new story, right? We know about confectionery industries. Sugar is like there's some amazing horrific stories about sugar, but cacao is still a little bit like a fresh story because the word never came out. Because there's like a lot of like big candy, right? Mars, and they're like, oh, I don't know what's happening in the chain because it's just so many different people in the chain, and they don't take responsibility for the whole chain. But guess what? If you are able to manage your whole chain, you know exactly where your bean comes from. That means you get better quality beans. You don't have to risk them getting molded in the process, so you don't have to burn them that hard to get the molds out. Right? There's so many horrific stories about cacao, but this company, Original Beans, proves that if you are able to teach these farmers the sustainable way, and you plant even a tree, and cacao, I mean, this company came from this guy, Philip Kaufman, who's a forester, or a 7th-generation forester. And he went on to study business, and then he went to the UN to do some like reforestation programs, but then the money runs out and, no more trees. So he learned about cacao needs shade. In order to grow high quality cacao, you need to have these cacao be in the jungle between all the other trees. And so it's a sustainable model to plant trees for better quality. And and then you can even just calculate the carbon footprint. For my bar of 17 grams, 70 grams bring back 260 grams of CO2, because they do direct trade. They don't have heavy machinery. They plant a tree. They have like regenerative processes, and they even have like carbon. They have like biodegradable wrapping. They go all wild on that. All the money doesn't go to any marketing. It goes back to the farmers and to the process of creating the best product in the world. And so they prove it's possible, and it's not outrageously expensive to buy that bar that's 100% transparent. So it is possible, and I hope that bigger corporations, they will look. I mean, they're pretty big in Europe. Of the world's 50 best restaurants, there's like 2/3 use this quality cacao, because it just tastes better. And so, yeah, it is possible, right?
It's hard in America. Americans have been accultured to want cheap,
right,
and quantity, and they don't think that much about quality anymore. And money's the bottom line. And it's not good for people. It's not good for the planet to have that ethos. Right. So kind of thing you're talking about, like, I want to pay a fair price for the product that you've just talked about. But I don't think that I think there's a lot of Americans who don't feel like that.
Right. Well,
still.
you can buy, in the supermarkets, you can buy the bad quality chocolate, like a bar for, I don't know, $1, but you can buy, or €1 in the Netherlands, right? And then you buy this bar for like 6 to 10 euros. So it is more expensive, but also it's a luxury product. It's because it comes from the middle of nowhere in a jungle. How can that if ever be a fast food? And also the chocolate that you would probably buy for a very cheap price, there's not even chocolate in it,
It's
right?
wax.
It's just about spreading the word for me, and it's making that connection through, but also I think within the music scene, it's nice to make songs that have a connection and a story. And I think now music is available everywhere for free. So making it an experience where the story is part of the experience. And I really learned that by creating these edible artworks with my husband, where he makes this painting, and nobody would ever go to experimental music. It's a really small scene, and improvisation. No, it's a niche. But then if there's chocolates with it, they see ganache, cake, cream, gel, they see it flying through the space and it lands on the table, and it creates for a really nice artwork. And then that movement is a sound. So it's just an experience that even people that would never go to like any of the components, fine dining,
Yeah.
they would never go to a super expensive restaurant, or they would never go to experimental improvisation. Combined, the museum hires us, or the festival hires us to play at these events where there's like people that would never go. And they're like, whoa, is this jazz? And I'm like, yeah, whatever you call it. This is great. I would never go to jazz, right? Or is this, and they take one bite and it's really intense flavors. And they're like, I've never, and they start being emotional and all. And there was this grandpa that we had, and he's like, I felt like an animal, right? Scraping off the table because it was so good. But he was very well-mannered, and he was wearing a suit because it was an official event for this museum. And every event is different, but you make an impact that different ways. But yeah, I'm not sure. We still have to keep on it for spreading the word different ways. Creating an experience, I think that's key. It could say, oh, I want to be famous, but that's, I work in like, I'm not a pop musician, right?
Are you able to make your living entirely through music?
Yeah. I mean, it's teaching, obviously, teaching music and doing different projects.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, it took a while, and it took some filtering, but I've been fortunate to just grow my way. But that's, it's been a process.
Wow, that's wonderful. It's wonderful that you have that much agency in your life, and that much self-reliance, and you have to be comfortable with yourself and what you have to offer to be able to do what you're doing.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a journey now. Yeah. I have to think about the next project, but what's next? No, I don't know. Yeah, that's been
an idea. Do you have an idea for the next project?
Well, I do want to go to Congo finally and get like some documentary maker to go with me. Well, basically, I'm doing all these podcasts now. I think that's going to be just fun and extend the marketing period of the project, so we can just all feature everybody and have some buzz about this as well. I mean, interviewing 100 women will take me 2 years probably. Because there's a lot, right? If everybody actually signs up. But so far, so people have been signing up. So I've been doing a lot of Zooms this week, and then I mean probably throughout the year, there will be a lot of like these, which is super nice. And then I'm doing a multimedia festival in Mexico with like a cyber person and this lady who is doing research on neurology and just information science. So she wrote this whole story, and then that will be like a never-ending story, but in an interactive environment with a phone and all. And then you can point at the different plots, and then the different direction the stories go. It's going to be like, I still have to read up on it. But I'll put music to it. That will depend on how it's going to, like, how the story is going to be. So it's going to be interactive music that's like flexible enough. So I'm going to create patches probably, and these patches will just, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but it's going to be layers of sound that will be all together or not together, or yeah, depending on how this story. It's going to be like, she's intense, this researcher. And then, I mean, the computer person, she's amazing too. So we'll find out. That's going to be in the fall. And I'm going to take it to Korea, because one of the girls from the album, she's a piano player. She did one of the arrangements, and she invited me to do some concerts in Korea. So August is going to be Korea. Isn't that bizarre?
Terrific.
Yeah, I've never been to that side of the world. So 3 weeks of gigs and tourist stuff in Korea.
Congratulations.
That's going to be August. No, there's a lot happening. I just cannot think about the next album yet, I guess. We'll find out.
Back there,
I do want to take this music and bring it to Congo. Wouldn't it be amazing? And then have like a documentary maker join me, and yeah, that would be so cool.
Well, I hope that you get to do that. I do read a lot of news. I do know that the Congo is one of the hottest, as in conflict.
That area, there's billions of money in the ground, like uranium and gold and stuff. So it's really the most dangerous place in the world.
And it's probably going to stay that way, you know, up and down because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But we do have the connections. We have the grower, the people over there. So that could inform us. So yeah, before we start literally planning that, but yeah, maybe next year that's on the program. That would be cool. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, we just flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just.
Oh, I'm going to do my own course. I'm
now
starting a course in the fall.
Now it's time for you to make money for you.
Yeah. Well, I put all my money on my last album, obviously. That was a lot. Yeah, that was a lot. But, I got a few grants from, so yeah, no.
Well, at the end of the day, and at the end of a life even, I think that you'll say you won't remember the money. You'll remember that you made it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't spend it any different way than just... Yeah, no. On creative stuff, yeah. Like, right, I'd rather buy like fabric cuttings for $5 than just go to Dior. Right? Because nobody, no.
What's it called again? Fab
scraps.
Fab scraps. Because
you find them on Instagram though. Or I don't know if
I am on Instagram.
Okay.
Fab scraps.
Fab scraps.
Okay.
Yeah, like fabulous.
Gotta
Yeah,
check
they're really cool. I think they have 2 places. I think in Philadelphia they are active as well. Maybe you can start your hub in Boston.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea, actually.
Or find some people that will do it for you, because it sounds like you have a lot of
Well,
creative skills
I've
as well to just use those in your creativity instead of
it's
starting out.
long been a dream of mine to have an art/junk shop for artists where
Nice.
I can recycle materials and have them available, and in that way reduce waste and increase visibility of how, you know, how we can reuse things, and how resources are actually the resources and we should value them. Yeah. So maybe who knows? I will be
It's
a
nice
hub.
because they have a volunteer system, so you can also get the scraps for free if you just like sort some stuff for 2 hours. So you could just like say, oh, this is like cotton and this is linen, and then you do that for an hour or two. I don't know exactly what's the deal, and then you get like a bag of stuff you could choose.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
That would be
check it out. It's so fun. Great. Let's see. I have 2 more. Do we have time? Do you have time?
I do. Yeah. I'm
Great.
sorry. It's been so nice talking that we just.
Yeah, it's so organic, right? Anyway, right. So I have another question. What advice would you give to aspiring women artists who are just starting out their journey?
I would tell them to do what you've done now, which is to make connections. Make connections with other women with whom you have creative overlap, good chemistry, people that you admire. And especially, you know, in the case for musicality, play with people who are better than you, because you will get better. And don't forget to listen and love what you're hearing.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, a little mindfulness in there too, right? Yeah. Nice. Are there any upcoming projects or goals you're excited about?
Yes, so many. I have open studios here because this is a live workspace. So I have open studios every November, and I am working on pieces. I am, among other things, one of the things that I have been wanting to do as a sculptor is to make work that helps people memorialize important people in their lives. So maybe I'd make right now I'm making a memorial piece for my friend's husband who passed away. So it has a lot of mementos in there, and be nice to do that for, you know, your old toys that you want to display, but you don't know how, or you're too delicate to play with, but kind of little altars, if you will. So I'm going to be making those things for that. And then we have rolling rehearsals for the band Count Zero, because some of our members don't live locally, so they travel in. And because we've been performing more, we have a heightened rehearsal schedule. And that's an ongoing wonderful thing that I get to do. And so, you know, our next rehearsal's in 2 weeks. That's great. And then I'm working with on Famous Grouse. We are recording 2 more songs right now, and we'll be able to get our wonderful Dave Maddox drummer to put the drums on for us. And so we record and put out songs 4 or 5 a year, as it turns out. So that's an exciting project.
Yeah.
I'm always working on projects.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I stay up late at night, just lying in bed, trying to think about what I'm going to do next on a sculpture, or trying to hear a piece of music and hear it over and over again so that it's solid enough for me to like approach an instrument to get it out.
Beautiful. Great. Well, let's see. Well, thank you so much for being in my podcast. And so I'm so grateful that you're on the album and that you added your spirit and your sound to it.
I too feel very grateful that I was included, and it's been something I wanted to do a long time, is to be part of. I thought that I would make one, but it was lovely to be a part of one. A call out here, take this music, add on to it, send it back to me. Let's make a big thing together remotely. Right. So one of these days, maybe I'll do one too. And it was really fun to be a part of it. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you. Thank you so much.
As I conclude this episode of ViviTalks, I want to express my sincere gratitude for joining me in this musical journey. I hope you enjoyed exploring the stories and experiences of the incredible female musicians on my album. To stay updated on our latest episodes, subscribe to ViviTalks on your favorite podcast platform. Connect with me on social media through Virunga, and please check out my album Typuhthâng, a musical exchange featuring 100 female musicians to empower female cacao farmers of Virunga State Park in Congo. It's about more than just music. It's about making a positive impact in the world. Your support is part of that journey, so thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, keep celebrating the power of music, and let's continue to amplify the voices of remarkable women in the industry. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep the music flowing. With love and gratitude. Till soon.